Buenos días a todos.
Morning to everyone. Thank you for being with us in this first seminar of academic cooperation between Spain and Africa, between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, European Union cooperation, together with Casa África and SEPIE. I'd like to thank the chair for being with us today. And without further ado, I will give the floor to Mr. Anton, Ambassador Director, for his welcoming words. Thank you, Diego. Minister of Sports, Culture and Heritage from Kenya. She is with us in YouTube. Vice Minister of Higher Education from Guinea, Secretary of State Manuel Muñiz, General Secretary of Universities, President of the Conference of University Rectors of Spain, CRUE, President of Cameroon People's Party, Director of the Scholarship Secretariat from Ghana, Vice Rector of the Pan-Atlantic University in Lagos, President of the Spanish Researchers Association in South Africa, and Director of Casa África. Your ambassadors, rectors and vice rectors, ladies and gentlemen, for those of us with us today here, we are a smaller number than usual due to the pandemic, although we are now at a more manageable and positive time. And also welcome to all of us that are connecting through internet. I would like first to simply say good morning to all of you and welcome you to the Spanish Diplomatic School. I would like to thank you for your interest in this seminar organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation through the General Direction from Africa. Also, I'd like to thank Casa África and also the Spanish Service for the Internationalization of Education, the SEPIE. It's not really a surprise that the Spanish school holds this initiative that likes to give information about the numerous training opportunities of our education system for African students. Our institution puts available for Spanish and foreigners every year in the field of international relations and diplomacy a great variety of resources and programs. Our selective course for civil servants of the diplomatic courses is well known, and also our inter-university Master in Diplomacy and International Relations. Together with Spanish students, we have visitors from other countries, but our cultural and education offer does not limit to this. We also organize many other activities in collaboration with universities, the minister entities, and some other departments from the administration. Activities devoted to train and inform about the international current affairs and the new fields of diplomacy. Now we're speaking more and more about diplomacy with new fields present in it, and we try to develop and integrate these in our programs and activities. Especially, I would like to highlight the successful scholarship program with the economic space of Africa that allows between 6 to 12 students from Western Africa to study in our Master in Diplomacy and International Relations in the past edition of the Master, and the closing ceremony took place 2 weeks ago. We had 6 students from this region. We also had students from Ibero-America and Northern Africa. So you have ahead of you 2 hard-working days, so I don't want to dwell any longer, just to wish you very fruitful times of reflection in the next 2 days, and we believe that important conclusions will emerge that can promote closer relationship between the new generations of African university students and Spain, and also stronger bonds between our countries. Without further ado, I welcome you again. I wish you a very successful 2 days, and thank you for being here.
Muchísimas gracias, embajador director.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Director, and I'm going to benefit from this occasion to thank you for the nice welcome in this school and the great work you always do to promote education among Africans. Thank you for being our host. I need to pick up my mask, otherwise I will not be complying with safety regulations. I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Carlos Gomez Villamanas, President of CRUE and Rector at Córdoba University. Thank you so much, dear Secretary of State, General Secretary, Minister, dear Director of the Diplomatic School. Thank you very much for being our host. It's for us a great honor to be here in this seminar, Spanish and African seminar, in a place where universities really have a lot to say. Universities, we are a driver for development in our territories, and to have the right level of development and progress in our territory, and to have universities being active in this is due to the fact that we always had different relations and collaborations, first located in the territory, then moving from our borders and going into the different continents. These relations or bonds have been established thanks to our common language, first with Ibero-America and also with the Maghreb region, and we wish to develop bonds and cooperation with Africa in general, especially sub-Saharan Africa. Those would be bonds. We will all benefit from them. We will all learn from each other, and we therefore have to set a network that will allow the progress of our societies and the progress of our territories. In this regard, CRUE, Spanish University, conducted a survey to know about the situation of cooperation of the Spanish university system with sub-Saharan Africa. We realized the great commitment of the Spanish system with sub-Saharan Africa, especially a collaboration funded by the universities themselves. So the training actions and also cooperation actions or mobility actions are very important tools at university level, but also funded by regional governments, by the ministry, and also through organizations as the Foundation Women for Africa. Many of our universities have kept a relationship with this foundation. We realized that this mobility is not bi-directional. It's mainly a mobility especially from Spanish students to do different degrees or to conclude their studies, and they go to Africa, and they mainly go through NGOs and other institutions. What we want now is that this becomes a bi-directional relation, so that African students that come to our territory to conduct their studies in all the education areas, as we also go in those training programs to Africa, so we can cooperate. I was lucky enough to direct the doctoral thesis of 2 students, one from Angola and the second from Ethiopia, and the results were outstanding. There was a difference. One came back to his country, continued developing it, but the other, the woman in this case, had some problems related to the rudeness. We see that this might be a problem. So we should set programs that allow us so that this training and this mobility and all activities might also mean a return, coming back, so that they can develop their knowledge there. And the potential is extraordinary. In 15 years, according to the statistics, 375 young Africans will be part of the labor market. Their potential, their capacity for change is there in those 375 young students, but this might be in danger. Less than 10% of those between 18 to 24 years, that will be university students, are conducting higher education studies. We should make efforts so that this number increases. We have just to look at our recent past to see how important education is and how important the role of universities is in developing a society. The Spanish miracle is the result of a collective commitment of the Spanish society. As I was saying, we have the experience in Spain of university education. As I said, that has been very important for our society in this country, in any country where university education had enough investment and resources, and even now at times of crisis, one after the other. The first was economic and the second was healthcare. So at those times, university education gives a backing and some guarantee to those that have it than those that may have received a different type of education or training. So we are convinced, and we can see it in our data, that an investment in education, the right investment in education, generate better social environments that will also have an impact on a better education. So any investment in education, university research, in generating and conveying knowledge will have a very positive impact in entrepreneurship, in the labor market, and in the social development of society. And in the Spanish university and our relation with Africa, we are aligned with the strategy of the European Union that states the need of a global perspective, that has to be defined. And we have requested to the European Union from the different rectors' conferences, we have requested the European Union that universities be part of the negotiation and strategy for the present and the future to the European Commission and the European Parliament, and also to the Spanish government. With the Spanish government, as we said on many occasions, we are the Spanish brand universities, and where Spanish universities had set collaboration bonds, not only with the academic world, but also with the entrepreneurial one. In fact, we can say that universities, we have had an impact on the good image of our country. And this is what we want to do now with Africa, but not just with punctual actions that we develop in universities, but within a strategy, within a sound institutional relationship, and all the different African countries and the Spanish government, we offer them our collaboration to journey together. This journey will probably be very successful. We universities can do and are willing to do many things. So as we have done in Spain and in other countries, we want to be the drivers of education and research very close to the local level. And you can be sure that we will collaborate as much as we can. So thank you, Secretary of the State, for organizing this seminar and for including universities. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Rector, for introducing many of the key areas that we'll cover in this seminar. And without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Binko Mamadi Touré, Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research from the Republic of Guinea. you. I believe he's going to address the audience in Spanish because he's very fluent in Spanish. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I have to apologize because I wasn't really ready to address you with a speech from this podium. Nevertheless, for me, it's a great pleasure to speak from this position about academic cooperation between Spain and Africa. As the elderly say in Africa, and probably in the rest of the world, I hope the good day starts at dawn. What do I mean by this? Very recently, we have just had a power cut. That means that we shouldn't think that everything is calm and relaxed. There are things that are unexpected. There are things that still have to be done. We cannot say that everything is perfect yet. We had sorted out our power cut, and now we are thinking ahead. We know there's still a lot to do to improve the current situation. And now I see, and I'm hopeful that this is the beginning of a lasting cooperation. Spain with Guinea, mainly with Guinea, in the area of education, we don't really have many relations or bonds, but I believe that from this seminar, from this encounter, these relationships become stronger, and we will be able to exchange professionals, teachers and pupils. In the past, and I speak about the 1990s, the Spanish embassy in Senegal, in Dakar, supported the University of Conakry with teaching materials. This helped to educate 2 groups of pupils in this university so they could start learning Spanish. And then we had the visit of 2 teachers from Santiago University from Cuba. But after this cooperation was interrupted, and so I'm going to request to restart our relations again, to introduce the teaching of Spanish language, because it's the second international language in the world now. As the director said, in 15, 20 years, more than 350 young people will speak Spanish in the world. And that's the reason why the meeting between Africa and Spain becomes so relevant for us, we Africans, that every day come here to look for a better future, and their best stop is Spain or Italy, especially through the Canary Islands. If there is a channel, maybe those young will no longer throw themselves into the ocean and will come by plane, will be able to study and be professional and contribute to Africans' development. Not to speak so much, because there will be a roundtable really soon. I would just like to thank all the organizers for having invited us from Africa to come and discuss with Spanish professionals. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias, señor viceministro, y también.
Thank you, Vice Minister,
Thank you,
and
Mr.
thank you
Vice
for
Minister,
addressing us
particularly
in
for speaking
Spanish.
Spanish. Thank you very much.
Minister is from Guinea-Conakry.
His
He
Spanish
speaks
is
so well
so
Spanish,
good
so maybe he
that
thinks he comes from Equatorial Guinea, but no.
forgot
Thank you so much, and now
to
and
tell
if
you that he's
technology
from
allows,
Guinea,
we're
not from
going to
Equatorial
give
Guinea.
to the
And now
Minister of
let
Sports,
us
Culture,
hear
and
the
Heritage from
Minister
Kenya,
of Sports, Culture,
connecting from
and Heritage, who is
Nairobi
connected
to
from
address
Nairobi, to
us
address
now.
you a few words. Thank you. Is she connected? Is the Madam Minister connected? She is, apparently. Okay.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, perfectly well.
So let me thank the for this amazing opportunity. I'm delighted to join you, and I'd just like to thank the government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, has been a good friend of mine, as well as our host, the diplomatic corps. So on the continent, what we say is, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. And let me say this, and at the end I'll come back to that same. Our continent is witnessing a promising decade of economic, social, and cultural advancement based on the implementation of its development. And one of them is the African Union Agenda 2023, and the second one is Sustainable Development Goals. We are ready for strategic and increased investment in our growth. This has been evident in the cooperation of external partners in its development initiatives. And I think this is where we think about Spain's Africa Focus policy, which provides the right foundation for strategic African priorities and demand for increased investments in primary, secondary, and tertiary education. Tied to this, ladies and gentlemen, is the need to develop dynamic, future-looking curricula for Africa's education system and to prioritize education policies that are specific to the needs of African economies. It will ensure that students are equipped with skills that align the demands of our market. For us, therefore, vocational training plays an important role in Africa's education and social advancement. By investing in TVETs, as we call them, students are given hands-on knowledge in varied disciplines and are equipped to work independently upon graduation and become job creators themselves. And an example of this is what we are doing with the MasterCard Foundation, where we've agreed that for a number of African countries, MasterCard Foundation would support the training of young people. In our case, when I was the Minister for Education, I negotiated for 1.5 million young people to be trained by MasterCard Foundation on skills so that they're able to join the market immediately after completion. And this was as a result of research that we had done on university graduates who, even after 4 years of graduation, could not find jobs. We realized that we were actually training them job markets. And that was very, very important for us to align our training, our education, the demands of our market. And so we came together as government and the private sector and agreed that in the next 2 years, we would train 5 million young people in technical and vocational, in technical and vocational skills, and so that they are able to start themselves. I think that's actually a very, that one is working really well, and I hope that that will add during the next 2 days. The academic cooperation between and sub-Saharan Africa speaks to Africa's need for a highly qualified labor force within the shortest time frame. And we've talked about higher education, research, and development. And I think that in the last few years, we have started in massive in research in higher education. We have set aside 4 billion and created a small unit that will only focus on research. And so as we move forward, together Africa can use Spain and Africa's cultural diplomacy as more African youth learn to embrace and engage with Spanish culture and its. I am confident that the seminar will achieve its objective of empowering Africa's young demographic towards better education outcomes, and will enrich global discourse on technical training, on research, on impactful interventions that have the potential to deliver outcomes. The best investment we can make is in education, skills development, and in research. Because as Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful force which you can use to change the world. And that brings me back to the that if you know that education is expensive, try ignorance. Because with ignorance, you have no goals, but you also don't achieve. In fact, what you achieve, in most cases than not, is a young demographic that is energetic, that's unemployed, and that becomes a weapon against our own people. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity to emphasize once more the importance of our cooperation between Spain and Africa, and the focus, which is the right one, on education, on science, and research. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you for participating, for your patience. Kenya is a very special country for Spain. We already have a lot of educational links. I think you touch upon many of the most important elements about education and cooperation. So thank you very much for your contribution. We hope that our good work, our good cooperation together will continue in the future. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Bueno, a continuación y ya para terminar, voy a pasar.
Well, next, and to close this session, I will give the floor to the Secretary of State for Spanish Global, Mr. Muñiz. Thank you, Diego. Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to this School of Diplomacy for today's seminar on African-Spanish academic cooperation. I am grateful for your interest in this cooperation. It's been months of hard work from our General Directorate for Cooperation with Africa. Thank you very much to their director who is sitting with us today. And I also thank the Spanish Service for the Internationalization of Education, whose director is also amongst us today. Well, thanks everyone for your interest as well. By organizing this seminar, we're proving the firm commitment of our institutions to a brave, visionary cooperation system focused on education and scientific cooperation as fundamental tools to promote integration and the cohesion of social fabric, and also to reinforce historical connections, in our case with Latin American communities. At the same time, further internationalizing the Spanish education or academic system matches our foreign policy from 2021 to 24. And as part of that strategy, we're expected to leave our comfort zone and search for new links and opportunities. The successful internationalization of Spanish education in Latin America and the European Union is shown not only in the number of students from the region in our universities, but also the strengths we have to offer. So with that purpose of expanding our horizons and identifying joint points of interest, we have organized this seminar on Spanish-African academic cooperation. As we will see today and tomorrow, there are plenty of reasons why we should turn our eyes to Africa, but I would like to highlight 4 of them. First of all, the demographics. Africa is the youngest continent on the planet. Out of 1.35 billion inhabitants, 60% is age under 35, and this progression or this trend is expected to be maintained as the population grows in the next 50 years. Many of those youths will attempt to continue or complete their training abroad, which is precisely the subject for this morning's first presentation. The second factor I wanted to highlight is our nearness. Spain is the closest country to Africa in the European Union, and for that very same reason, we are perhaps more interested than our neighbors in promoting sustained and sustainable development in sub-Saharan Africa. This involves helping strengthen higher education systems in the region via academic exchanges of different nature, etc. Also, physical nearness and cultural similarities give us a great opportunity to develop our shared interests. Third, the interest in Spain and in Spanish culture. We have nearly 3 million African students, not only in high school in Spain, but also in universities, thanks to subsidies by ISIT. This is particularly relevant if we consider the scarce presence of educational institutions in the continent. We are working on fostering the teaching of the Spanish language, as you will see in the next session. Another aspect I would like to highlight is Africa's interest in strengthening their higher education results. Africa is determined to create a Pan-African society of knowledge by supporting science, in research and development, by standardizing and harmonizing education standards and by cooperating with institutions from other countries and continents and promoting mobility. Institutions like the World Bank or the European Union acknowledge the importance of the academic sector. As a matter of fact, the World Bank has dedicated up to 20% of their budget in higher education before the world pandemic struck. And the EU is intensively cooperating with the African Union in fostering and creating new careers in the continent. When we speak of potential, we mustn't leave out the many challenges the continent faces, though, considering important access barriers for students and limited resources, the flight of knowledge. And for that reason, Africa needs creative, committed partners to build a better future for their youths. The internationalization of our education towards Africa should be one of the most important contributions Spain is to make to the sustainable development of Africa. Universities and Spanish research centers are highly professional, and their students could be well positioned in this sense. The size of the challenges we face and our little experience in the African continent makes it more important than ever for us to take support on one another and to work together strategically and in a coordinated manner. This cooperation is even more important at times of huge transformation of our productive and economic model. The economy of knowledge requires high levels of training and specialization. The reduction of routine labor we're witnessing in our economies requires developing training systems to prepare new professionals and to connect them to education, knowledge transfer, entrepreneurship, and competitive thinking, which make universities the cornerstone of the economic development for the 21st century. I trust today's seminar will help us all understand these challenges ahead of us and the potential benefits of this cooperation between Spain and Africa. We are keen on listening to your point of view, to hear our African guests, and to understand how we can help strengthen the links joining both continents. Without further ado, I wish you a fruitful seminar with many future lines for work and cooperation. Thank you very much and have a good day. Thank you, Mr. Secretary of State. With this, we close the opening session.